5 came out. I just wandered in. It's like, hey, I'm here now. And it looks like we're off. We got Charlie choosing Flash, Metalo choosing Quickman, and Prodigy also choosing Quickman.
Now, some of you may have noticed we have Charlie Boy actually playing as Proto Man. That's another new feature to the randomizer. You can actually replace Mega Man's sprite with Proto Man, Base, or even Roll.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things randomized, including enemy placements. So, for instance, you got some Sniper Joes in their mechs in Quickman stage, and you got some out-of-place toothpaste worms coming out in the Flashman stage, along with Sniper Joes. And it looks like we got some roosters running around in Quickman stage. You also see the palettes in these stages have been completely randomized, so they look extremely colorful and weird, especially when you get into some spots.
Charlie Boy here going for the safety E-Tank. Typically in vanilla Mega Man 2, you wouldn't bother with that E-Tank ever. But in the randomizer, you never know what to expect, especially with your boss fights, and it's always faster to take the E-Tank than it is to take the death. So for safety's sake, players will typically grab the E-Tanks on Flash, Quick, and at least one of the E-Tanks on Metal stage as well.
Yeah, I typically go after the first one. It looks like we got Bubble in Flashman's room, and we're about to find out who is in Quickman's stage here. And it's Heatman in Quickman stage, and that's an awful place to fight him. Or a good spot, I don't know. I guess because you don't have to worry about dodging him his teleports going back and forth. It looks like Charlie has chosen to go after Quickman next.
Yeah, Flash and Quick are typical starters for the Mega Man 2 randomizer, because they're short stages, so you're going to find out the quickest if you're going to get in one of those stages, plus you'll get those safety E-Tanks.
Yeah, you get those safety E-Tanks, and they're not only are they quick, they're relatively, with this randomizer, the safest stages to start on. Because if you go to some place, let's say, for instance, Metal Man stage, and you get to pretty much the last screen, and you get to that pit, you could have to deal with something like, say, for instance, the screws that actually appear on Metal Man stage. Instead of them in their vanilla location, they could appear there, and you may not be able to get across, considering how they act. Alright, so all three of our runners have actually swapped places. Charlie Boy is at Quickman, where Metalo and Prodigy are in Flashman stage.
Yeah, and Flashman's stage, I believe, is ever so slightly shorter than Quickman's stage, but it might not end up looking that way right now.
I don't know.
Especially because runners are going to go for that E-Tank, of course.
Yeah, I honestly think Quickman's may be a little faster because of where the E-Tank is as opposed to Flashman's. Unless you got the... unless for some reason you just so happen to have the wall breaker on you. But typically most of these runners don't find out about that until Wily 2, so that's still a ways off. And as you saw on both Prodigy and Metalo's screens, when they face Bubble Man does not move unless you are in his line of sight. So just shooting below him and shoot him in his foot is pretty much equivalent to a quick kill.
Alright, now we have a little bit of a divergence in routes, whereas Prodigy and Metalo are both going to Bubble Stage third, but Charlie Boy is going for Heat third.
That's rather interesting, because I generally don't go to Heat till much later. But I guess with that item 2 in hand, he figures, yeah, we'll make it quick. And there's one of the annoying enemies in this randomizer, the freaking crabs.
The weapon get screen went so fast I didn't notice. Did they all get item 2? Yeah, they did. They have 3 and 2. Jeez. What?
Yep. I actually missed out on the 3, but I know they had 2 because they've gone to the same places. So yeah.
Yeah. No, it went by so quick while I was clicking things. I guess I didn't see that. That is another nice feature of the randomizer for those not aware. The weapon get screen is just so blazing fast now. The text is just done and over before you even know it, as compared to the original game where even on the Japanese version it feels like it takes forever, especially if you got one of the 3 items.
Yeah, and we just saw Charlie Boy do the zip on Heatman stage, and we got Quickman in Bubbleman's room, so he's going to be hitting the ceiling.
What a shame those spikes don't work on him.
No, but I like seeing Metal Man in this stage more than anything, because he doesn't shoot his blades.
True story.
And that's a Flashman in Heatman's room, and that's a slow Flash with a high jump. And we now have even more divergence as Metalo is going to Heatman and Prodigy is going to Airman. This stage is giving me flashbacks of our race on Sunday. You can't catch me!
They do actually know what stage they're picking on the stage select screen because currently stage names are not hidden.
Yeah, that's actually a feature of the randomizer where we can hide the stage names, but I guess they all agreed to reveal the stage names first this time. Maybe they'll change that next round.
By default, it does not hide the stage names. Once upon a time, the randomizer would only hide the stage names. I kind of miss that myself, but I know a lot of people don't like that because it makes it harder to route the game.
I like that because it offers a bit of challenge.
It does, and it's definitely a little bit extra randomization there if you don't know where you're going. But I understand to a point. And I believe the tournament will not be hiding stage names, so for that reason, they're probably not going to be hiding them today because this is an actual showcase.
Alright, so we got Crashman in Airman's room. Let's see if...
and he is not our favorite dumb Crash. Love me some dumb Crash.
Prodigy opting to consume an E-Tank for safety purposes. And both him and Metalo take down their next boss. So Crash Heat is down for him. As Prodigy moves on to Metal Man, and Metalo is going to Woodman, as well as Charlie Boy.
Now, I didn't notice anybody getting item 1. No, they don't appear to have it, so that's unusual, I would say, for them to pick Wood Stage at this point, because normally they'll use item 1 to do the good wood zip, which bypasses a good chunk of the stage and puts you at the boss with full health. Metalo taking full advantage of that automatically charged heat, just destroying the hot dogs there.
Yeah, he got that in the stage he was just in, which I think was Heatman's. Yeah, auto heat's my favorite part of this randomizer.
Oh, looks like Meta's gonna do the good wood with item 3 here. He's got the setup going. He's Oh, he can't use charged heat though for the one part. So basically, when you're doing good wood, at the end of it, you die. And if you're charging heat, you can let go of it as soon as you die, and you skip the wait before going to your checkpoint. But since heat is automatically charged, it doesn't work in this case.
Yeah, Charlie Boy just tried it and didn't get it.
Meta did get the good wood, and he's at the end of the stage here, ready to fight Woodman. We got Prodigy actually fighting Woodman on Metal stage.
And not a fun Woodman for that matter.
No, he's never fun on the conveyor.
No bosses, but that's a quick airman for us right there.
Prodigy finds item 1 there on Metal stage.
And he chooses Crashman next. So right now we still haven't seen Metal Man, and who else haven't we seen yet as a boss?
I feel like he's the only one we haven't seen.
I think you're right. So if everything is correct, then we'll see Metal Man at the top of Crashman stage here, and that Baton getting in the way of Prodigy doing the zip here for Crash.
Yeah, similarly to the good wood zip, there's this good crash zip that Prodigy's attempting to go for here, and basically, since he died there, he skipped the 3 rooms that have these platforms that are basically on little tracks, and you end up waiting forever if you can even get through the room. But since it's a randomizer, you could end up with enemies that do a very good job at preventing you from getting through the room anyway, so the good crash zip is all the more important here in the randomizer.
And Kami-san was hoping that Crash Bomb would kill the jester on the metal wheel there, and it did. Bull is doing commentary. He's not in the race.
Yes, this is a 3-player race. I realize we have a 4-player layout up here. There was intended to be something in the 4th slot that would have been a representative graphic of something with information. I believe some of that information pops up in some of the commands in the chat, though.
Yeah, so, yep, like I thought, there's our Metal Man and Crashman stage. Ooh.
That Buster did some fair damage to him, too, I like.
Yeah, and just by the skin of his teeth, he got him down.
So as you guys can see, they're teleporting out instantly when these bosses die. That is probably my favorite addition to the randomizer here, because it speeds things up so very much. It's unfortunate that it prevents you from having a chance to get a drink between bosses, but it is nice because you can do all 8 bosses so fast.
And looks like Kami-san is setting up another zip in Heatman stage. And there you go.
You mean Prodigy? I'm Kami-sen.
You all look the same to me.
I mean, I'll take credit for some of what Prodigy's doing, but there's not enough Buster action going on for my taste. I don't know if I can take that credit. There we go.
Don't worry, it's Cyber tradition to confuse the runner with the commentators.
Well, we certainly don't want to break tradition. That is not what we're about.
And I saw Metal opting to hug Woodman in the corner there on the conveyor belt, which I totally agree with. Yes,
absolutely.
Yes, boss weaknesses are randomized in this randomizer. Generally, you'll probably see our runners use the Buster a lot on these bosses.
Yeah, what they're weak to is randomized, as well as how weak they are to it. And in addition to that, just like in the standard game, 4 of the bosses will be at least secondary weak to Buster. Meaning that it'll do 4 damage, I believe. I believe. I could be wrong. I think it's 4 damage, though.
Yeah, some of
which
the
is
bosses
pretty decent.
Yeah, some of the bosses don't take 4 damage, but yeah, generally all of them you can take down with just the Buster. Some of them you really want to try and find their weakness, like Heat Man, because screw him.
Especially if he's the slow burn Heat Man, which he's not this time, thankfully.
Not really. No, weaknesses don't re-randomize during the refights. However, when we get to the Wily stages here, all the bosses will have at least, I believe, 2 weaknesses, a primary and a secondary one. So that'll be the real adventure here.
I've just pasted a little note from last year's tournament that I made into the chat there, and it describes most of what the randomizer does. There are a couple of newer features since then. It needs a rewrite, but that gives you the gist of what goes on in the randomizer, and it's all done per seed as opposed to like being randomized during any point. Like this is the randomizer will randomize a Mega Man 2 ROM, an actual one, and once the ROM is loaded into an emulator or actual hardware, because it does work on hardware, that's it. It's randomized. Metalo here is through the 8 Robos, and we have a bit of a tradition here. We were talking about not wanting to break tradition. Our tradition around here is for all of you people in the chat to get involved and take a guess here. What color do you think the dragon is going to be, and what do you think it's going to be weak to?
Well, as it's my first attempt at this, I'm going to have to go with local colors and pick orange.
Okay. I'm thinking we're gonna have a nice red dragon, and I'm guessing metal blue.
And since Rico's not here, his choice is Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Of course, as is tradition.
Oh, in the first Wily stage, we got some of those platform shooter type bots that are immune to lemon.
Charlie Boy popping his last E-Tank for Woodman here. Hopefully he won't need another before Wily.
Yeah, typically I feel like you need to at least have one for Becco. Well, yeah, and maybe we should take a gander up to what the dragon's weakness is too. I'm gonna choose heat.
So you're saying orange and heat?
Yes.
That'd be pretty good. That'd be really advantageous too, since heat is the automatically full charged heat instead of having to wait for it.
Yes, it's the best kind of heat. And it is a green dragon with a belly of orange and I guess a red pits, joints.
And is searching frantically for that weakness. And then some of you may have noticed the letters. Ooh, we do have heat weakness. We do have the heat weakness. Nice. Meta did make short work of that dragon. He had a little bit of trouble, and something I just want to point out. I don't think we've talked about this yet. If you look at the menus when the players pause to change their weapons, the letters don't make a lick of sense because those are completely randomized now as well, including the Buster, which used to be P. It is now whatever letter it wants to be. So I hope you really know your weapon positions on the menus, or you're going to be in trouble like I typically am.
Now, on Prodigy's screen, he actually found the dragon's secondary weakness, and that was metal.
So I was partially right. Everybody wins.
Alright, and here's one thing that our runners like to do, and that's find the wall weakness on Wily 2. I'd like to do this on Heatman stage as you're trying to get through there, because I don't believe in zips, and I think it helps you when you get to this point.
Absolutely. and finding that crash wall weakness in Wily 2 is definitely advantageous, because if you don't know it by the time you're fighting the boo beams in Wily 4, you're certainly in danger as you sit there firing weapons at will and trying to figure it out, unable to pause.
Alright, as Metalo continues to get to Becco here, let's see what his weakness is going to end up being. It is Boomerang.
Looks like it's a soft weakness, but it's a safe one. You can fire it so very quickly, and it has that little bit of upward trajectory there, making it just easier to hit him with.
Not what I like to call a gas guzzler.
Yeah, definitely not. Which is the main reason I suspect that they're going to stick with that. I mean, we know for a fact there's at least 2 other weaknesses, and they may be better, but they also may consume more gas, as you said there. And our runners don't want to run into a problem where one weapon is empty and then they end up absolutely needing it to destroy the alien at the end.
Well, we'll get to that when we get to the end of this race, but right now Metalo is falling down into the sewers of Wily Castle. And that's an awful spot for that enemy, especially when it's immune to lemons. And Charlie Boy finding the other weakness of Becco, which happens to be air, and was one-shotting it too.
It's an interesting air weapon there, because it's firing 3 of them that are moving very quickly upwards, so quickly that sometimes they're wrapping around the screen.
Oh, hey, Charlie.
Charlie, what have you done? Okay, we're good.
And we got a rather silver-ish quick Gutsman that's also weak to Boomerang.
Is this even randomized?
I mean, I don't think I care, because, well, Boomerang is just doing the job for me. I had to see last night where majority of the Wily bosses were weak to Crash.
Oh no. Alright, Meta and Prodigy entering into Orange Hell, traditionally known as Purple Hell, but that's a tradition we're willing to break here. That was a pretty interesting little item 3 zip there. Basically, he managed to get his head into the ceiling and face left and zip to the right there to reach the ladder just a little bit quicker. Looks like Prodigy didn't quite get the zip, but it's definitely a good one to get in that hallway, especially when you find the Chanky enemies like that, because they just are sponges for lemons. They like never die.
And I hate the fact that there are torch enemies here. Those are probably the worst enemies to see in this stage, especially in the area coming up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They make so much lag, and they change how your iframes work, and it's a pain. You can't even properly pause buffer because of it.
Plus, they got the single trajectory when you get down to the 3rd area here, which makes it almost difficult just to get across.
Metalo made very short work of those spike screens there. That was fairly impressive. I hadn't even seen some of the strategies he just did.
Well, he definitely used a pause buffer to get over there.
The pause buffer is probably the only thing I was well aware of. He used an early item 1 on the 2nd spike screen that was just in the perfect position once he got across using the platform, that he didn't have to wait at all.
And it is not the god blue orbs, as it's not metal weakness.
Oh no, Prodigy was denied his zip by the bird here. He's going for it again. Yeah, it looks like he's not going to be allowed to do it.
And Mello opting to do I guess, vanilla way, super vanilla way of doing this boss by getting rid of all the, and they're weak to air. You know, I wouldn't stop on metal sometimes with those. I would use air or wood and just decrease the number of walls I have to destroy.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to go fast in that fight, especially when you just don't know what they're weak to, but knowing the crash walls does make it a little easier. A lot of times, especially when they are actually weak to crash, it might be in your favor to destroy them all, and then you have free reign to figure out what they're weak against and just use it accordingly.
That's fair. But
and usually,
it also takes away some of the lag.
That too. It does remove a little bit of the lag. I don't think that translates into any sort of a time gain there, but I will note that a lot of times when you end up doing it, after you figure out what their weakness is, you go, I shouldn't have done that.
Especially if, with 2 bosses remaining, one of the weaknesses may be crash.
Now, for those of you who aren't too familiar with the randomizer here, you may have noticed that the boss music is not playing over and over and over, but instead we just have our nice randomized stage theme going throughout steadily. It doesn't get interrupted for anything. That's probably one of my favorite additions of the randomizer is that you usually get one of the fairly hype songs and it doesn't stop.
Keep Man not cooperating with Metalo.
Go figure, Bubble LED is working. Is this even randomized? Is it?
I don't even know if it's doing more damage than when he used Buster on it.
I don't think it was, but I didn't exactly count, to be fair.
Neither did I, but at the same time, it's like, come on.
Close enough.
Oh,
it may have been worth just sticking with the Buster just to not have to take the refill later.
Basically. If you need to take the refill for that weapon. That Woodman not being helpful and sitting still.
Alright, Meta is at the machine. It is taking damage from the Buster, which there's like a roughly 50% chance it will or will not, in addition to having 2 other weaknesses. The nice thing is, when it takes damage to the Buster on the first phase of the fight, it will also on the second. So it's fairly consistent.
Yep, and it's pretty much the way most runners would like to go.
Absolutely. So we have our final tradition for this race, and that is similarly to Wily 1. Here in Wily 6, we like to play Guess the Color of the Alien and also the weakness, because we know it only has one. I'm going to go with a blue alien, and I'm hoping for Buster Weak.
I'm going to go with a purple alien and say it's going to be Wood Weak.
Metalo doing the precarious Wily 6 zip there. Zip is pretty easy to initiate, but you have to be very careful because it's easy to over-zip. If you're not facing right when Mega Man's above the door, you'll actually go beyond it, and then you'll be forced to take a death because otherwise you are soft-locked. It turns out it's Crash.
And it's taken a lot of health from the alien. Wow. There's our winner for the first race in Metalo.
Yeah, so it was very good. Metalo is finished with an official SRL time of 29:19. He's improved his race personal best by 2 minutes and 1 second, his previous being 31.
And now Prodigy's going to take on the Alien, where Charlie Boy's on the Wily machine.
Prodigy does a good job guessing the weakness immediately. He just happened, since he was already at item 1, started at the bottom of the menu and went to crash first, and it worked out for him perfectly.
And so he finishes with a time of 30:16.
GG's to both runners there. It was a pretty good race, and it was fairly close, I gotta say.
I mean, essentially a minute apart. By the way, our alien was actually full on green. Alright, so Metalo takes the first race in our set here.
Yep. Charlie Boy has finished with a 31:19 here, which is also a race PB for him. His previous being 33:20.
So 2 minutes separates Metalo finishing and Charlie Boy finishing.
Pretty good overall. I can't complain about that. It was nice, fairly tight race. Good showcase of the new features of the randomizer there. No glitches. Also a good bonus.
Yeah, so our runners are getting set up most likely for the next race, so give us a moment here as we get things in order. Alright, so if you folks like what you saw here, consider joining the Discord. We can provide links for you. Join the Discord, and then also, if you want, join the tournament, as it's pretty much open to all levels of play. So, if those things interest you, join us. Sundays we will usually have a weekly community race. We're going to be having one this Sunday. It's usually about 10 p.m. I believe Eastern time. American, so come check us out. Alright, so our runners are setting up a new SRL room while we wait, and they already have their seed, so we're going to reset the tracker here, and we'll be set to go in a moment. Okay, so we're almost ready on our end.
Yeah, everybody's ready.
Yep, and they got the green light, so we're gonna have our next race happening now. Let's go!
Let's go!
I don't know, what's the robot equivalent? Ready?
Let's get it on.
We're starting.